Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jordan and today I'm going to be sharing my top books of 2022. So currently it is like January 22nd, so this video is a little late. I did plan on filming it earlier this month, however I completely lost my voice and it took way too long for that to come back. So I guess now is as good a time as any to share my favorite books. So 2022 was a good reading year for me, but not a fabulous reading year for me. There were a lot of 4 stars, some 4.5s, but honestly there weren't that many 5 stars that just stood out to me as, yes, this is going to be on my top favorite list. There are a few that are definitely standouts, and those will be towards the top of this list. However, the ones towards the bottom of the list, they're just some books I really enjoyed last year. They are favorites of the year, but probably not favorites of all time. I don't know. We'll see. My opinion on books changes constantly. So these aren't really in a particular order, as I mentioned, until you get closer to the top when those are in more of a solidified order. I will talk more about those when we get to that part of the list. Sorry if all of this is very confusing, but I find it difficult to pick books that I find it difficult to pick my favorite books. I find it difficult to rank them. So this is what I have come up with. So starting off the bottom, this is kind of an honorable mention, not really a favorite of the year, but it's a series that I literally have not been able to stop thinking about since I read it, and that is the Plated Prisoner series. The first book in the series got a very low rating from me. It was either a 2.5 or a 3.5, and the books have only gotten better from there. They're still not amazing, but it was such an addicting series that the plot points just pop into my mind every now and then, and I have not been able to stop thinking about this since I read it last summer. The Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy is a twisted King Midas retelling. So King Midas is one of our main characters, and he has his gold-touched favorite, Auron, who is basically the main character of the series. I read these books so close together that is honestly kind of difficult for me to separate the plot, but I'm going to do my best. There's just war going on in this world, politics are at play, things of that nature. I believe in the first book, Auron is captured by these pirates. Basically, it's about Auron's relationship with Midas and how she is his gold-touched favorite and the political playings of the kingdoms. The plot has changed so much from book 1 to book 4, and so much happens. It's so much more than just a King Midas retelling. As I said, the series just gets better as it goes on. It was quite addicting, and I'm very excited to read the 5th and final book this summer. Next up on this list, we have The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is the first book in the Off-Campus series, which is one of those series that follows a different person in the friend group as each book goes on. This one is kind of a fake dating book. We have our main character, Hannah, and our main character, Garrett. Garrett needs Hannah's help to pass this class. Hannah needs Garrett's help to attract the attention of this guy that she's very interested in. So fake dating ensues, and this book was so much more than I expected. I absolutely adore these characters. The romance was everything. There was just a lot of layers to these characters and their stories, more so than I expected going into this novel that I thought was just going to be cute, adorable, college set romance. I've read the next 2 books in the series as well, and I really enjoyed both of them, and I'm intrigued to continue that series and the spin-off series, which is Briar U. These books are just so addicting, and I love the world that Elle Kennedy has created. It's just so comforting and cozy going back to these characters that we know and seeing more about their stories and the people they end up with. But yes, I really, really enjoyed this book. The next book I have is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This is one of those cute summery beach reads, but it was so good. This is kind of a second chance romance. It's told in a dual timeline of when Persephone meets Sam. Her parents buy this lake house and They go there for the first time, and their next door neighbors are Sam and his brother. It just shows Persephone's relationship developing with Sam over the summer she gets to spend in the lake house next to them. And it's also told in the present day, where they haven't seen each other for several years. We see if feelings are still there. We find out what happened and why they are no longer speaking after their summers growing up being best friends. This was Carly Fortune's debut, and it was amazing for a debut. I am super excited to read anything else Carly Fortune writes. I know she's coming out with a new book this year that is on my priority list. This was definitely just one of those books that I read at the right time when I was in this big romancy mood in the summer, and it was absolutely perfect for that, and that's why it gets a spot on this list. The next books in a similar vein are the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. More specifically, the Summer I Turned Pretty. I did enjoy the other two, but this was my favorite of the series. Again, I read it right before Every Summer After, so I read it at that perfect time where the summery beach reads and the TV show had come out, and that's why I picked it up in the first place, because of the hype surrounding the TV show. Neither let me down. I absolutely loved both of these. The Summer I Turned Pretty series by Jenny Han was her first series, I believe, before To All the Boys I've Loved Before, which I did read that one and I enjoyed that one, but I didn't really have an interest in picking up The Summer I Turned Pretty until now. I'm sure by now you probably know what this book is about. It follows Belly and Jeremiah and Conrad. Their two families go and spend the summer at the same beach house every summer. It's a friends to lovers story, and I'm always a sucker for a good friends to lovers romance. Again, it has flashbacks to the previous summers they've spent at this house. Not as much as in Every Summer After, but it does dive into some past moments and how they got to where they are now. This story was so touching, so romantic, but also heartbreaking. If you know, you know. I didn't expect that going into this, but it did crush me a little bit. It's a YA book written back in like 2010. Yeah, this was published in 2009, so it definitely reads like that older YA. So just bear that in mind going into this. Yeah, I loved this, and I'm super excited to see the TV series continue, season 2. Again, just a perfect summer read that I read at the exact right moment. The next book on my favorites list is A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the second book in the From Blood and Ash series. From Blood and Ash follows Poppy, who is the maiden who is not really allowed to be seen, spoken to, is not allowed to form relationships because she is the chosen one. She has these guards who are meant to protect her, but also probably monitor her and make sure she fulfills her maidenly duties. Something happens with the guards, and now the mysterious hawk is there to guard her, and there are secrets abound with all of that. Again, this is one of those series that point A to point B, C, D is so different, and I really do enjoy that. These expansive series that build upon each other, that have so much character development and world development. I'm a sucker for a good developed world and a good developed character set that I can fall in love with. Yeah, I really enjoyed this story much more than I expected. This set off a very strong obsession with this world, and I read this book and the next book and then the first book in the spin-off series in a very quick succession, and I'm eager to continue still. The only downfall of this book, I would say, is that it could definitely have done with a little bit more editing, which I think is a big thing for the series as a whole. There's just a lot of ... or several repetitive sentences, or just things that the main character does repeatedly that you're like, okay, I get it by now. I did really enjoy this book. I think I might have given it 5 stars. I'm not quite sure. It's either a 4.5 or a 5, I believe. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I'm very interested to see where the series goes. The next book I read and was one of my favorites of 2022, I read at the beginning of the year, and it is Where the Drowned Girls Go by Sean McGuire. This book is significantly shorter than the previous one. This is the 7th book in the Wayward Children series. I absolutely adore the Wayward Children series. It is a series, as I'm sure you know, about these kids who have found their doors to these worlds that are basically made for them. And some of the stories take place in those worlds, or some of them take place in our world, where we follow the children mainly at Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, where they come together to cope with the fact that they have lost their doors, or they are waiting for their doors to go back to where they belong. This one takes place at a school in our world that is not Eleanor West's school. Honestly, this book became my favorite of the series. One of my two favorites, I'm not quite sure. I need to reread the whole series just to figure out my ratings and my placements, but this one is definitely in the top of the series. I just loved how this expanded the world. It gave us so much more information on everything. It introduced us to several worlds that I would love to see more in depth. This book was just fantastic, and I'm so excited to get to Lost in the Moment and Found. I think a character that was introduced in here is the main character in that book. It is out currently. It came out about 10 days ago, and I need to get my hands on it because this book was just fantastic, and I want more of this world. I always want more of this world. The next books I'm going to talk about are also in a series. It is a series that I finished off last year. I read these two in succession after rereading the first one, and that is the second and third book in a Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. So we have Good Girl, Bad Blood and As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I'm just going to hold up this one because holding up two hardcover books is a lot for a while. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder follows Pip, who is doing her senior capstone project on this murder that took place in her town several years ago. They've decided who the killer was, basically, but Pip is not quite sure that is the case, so she's investigating herself. It's told in mixed media format. We have blog posts and emails and text messages and interviews and police reports. It's just so fascinating, and I love every second of the experience of reading this. I will say I don't think I enjoyed these as much as the first one. They both still got 5 stars, I believe, but the first one is still up there in my favorites, I think. This one was good. This one shook me. Plot twist after plot twist that I did not see coming. About a quarter of the way through this one, I was like, oh, I've already figured it out. And then boom, everything changed, and I was just like, what is happening? I don't think I put this down after I got to that halfway mark just because I had to know what was going on. But yeah, Holly Jackson definitely knows how to script a mystery, keep you captivated the entire time. She's so clever with how she writes her reveals. I just loved every second of these books. Alright, so at this point we are definitely getting to, we have 2 more things to talk about, and these are in their more solidified positions, I would say, including the Good Girl's Guide to Murder books. Again, you could ask me tomorrow and this rating would change completely, most likely, but for right now, this is how my top books of last year went. So in like the second spot, we have Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This book is very large, but oh my god, was it amazing. I read this because there was a lot of hype for the second book that had just come out when I read this. I still haven't gotten to that one yet, but I have a reason. I don't know what I expected going into this, but it wasn't this. There is so much going on. I have seen it compared lately to Zootopia, but with mythical creatures, and that is one of the most accurate things I've ever heard. Loved the world building. It was fantastic. I loved the characters. I loved the mystery. There's so much packed into this book that I don't even know that I could begin to explain the plot, but basically something happens and our main character, Bryce, is tasked with finding out who did it, why they did it, and she's accompanied by Hunt Athalar, I believe is his name, who is an angel. Yeah, that's basically all I could say. There was plot twist after plot twist that got me. I loved every page of this book, and I am dying to read the second one, but I want to finish Throne of Glass series first before I get to this one, so that's why we haven't continued, but I think I'm going to reread this one and then read that. Yeah, this world was just fascinating to me, and I want more. Alright, so now we have my favorite book, or books, of the year, because it is a series that I read in its entirety last year, or what is currently out, and that is the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend. So the Nevermore series is a middle grade series, which is honestly crazy that this is my top book of the year, but this follows our main character Morgan, who is born on Eventide, and she is there's a name for it, I don't remember what it's called, but basically she is one of the cursed children. She's super unlucky. Anyone who comes into contact with her, even could glance at her, will cause them ill luck. So she's destined to die on the eve of her 11th birthday. However, on the eve of her 11th birthday, wonderful, mysterious Jupiter North comes and sweeps her off into Nevermore, where she competes in these trials to become a member of the Wondrous Society. So there's the school aspect, the trials aspect, this amazing world that I adore, and I love getting to see more and more of it from each book I read. The Hotel Deucalion is one of my favorite places I've ever read about, and Nevermore as a whole is one of my favorite worlds I've ever seen. There's just so much going on here that is so cool, and this would be one of my top fantastical worlds to visit if I could. There's mystery, there's magic. I love everything about this. There's nothing I don't like about this book, pretty much. All three of these got 5 stars, Nevermore, Wondersmith, and Hollowpox. And the 4th book comes out this year, and that is honestly one of my top anticipated books of the year. I know this series could go on to be like a 10-book series, and I'm here for it. I would read a book about Morgan just walking around Nevermore with her friends and exploring. That's how much this book meant to me this year. I really don't know how to express how much I love this book. Just the world building, the characters, the magic system, the school, the trials, the setting, every single aspect of it was perfect in my opinion, and I'm dying to know more, to see how this world continues. So there you have it, guys. Those are my top books of 2022. I probably did a terrible job at explaining how much I love them and why, because when it comes to my favorite books, sometimes there's just this vibe. Like, I know what I like, but I can't put it into words because it was just this vibe that was perfect. But I've done my best. Practice makes perfect. I'm only gonna get better from here. I just love reading. That's what this video has made me think about. I just love reading, and I want to read everything, basically. But I can't do that, so yes. So that's all I really have for you guys today. Let me know if you enjoyed any of these books. Let me know what your favorite book of 2022 was, and I will see you with another video soon. Bye!